Hey, welcome back everybody. Today we are going to be back with the Honda for the last little piece before I can actually drive it. I finished the paint, we did all that this is where we left it. Oh, that's an awesome view. There, this is where we left it. It's all painted. Got wheels all matching, placed the steering wheel. Did a lot of little upgrades to make it a little more dailyable for us. So what's the very last thing to do is window molding. Windshield's good, so I'd like to use it, but I went and bought some window molding, just some stuff from Honda. So we're just gonna throw this on real quick. So typically when you install this, you would have, these clips wouldn't already be here. There's actually little nails, I don't know if you can see them. Yeah, little nails inside of there that you actually slide these clips into. And it looks like the previous installer siliconed those clips in. So I think they're gonna be fine just the way they are, just leaving them in. I don't see really an issue with taking it out. I might cut out some of this excess silicone in some of these spots where they kind of overdid it. But outside of that, I'm probably gonna leave a lot of that stuff. Now I'm gonna cut out a little bit of the silicone right here. The urethane, excuse me. And then, these are how they come new. So these red clips are the clips that are gonna clip into these orange clips. And then, these little yellow clips are gonna actually clip. If you look, there's little lips under them. That is what's gonna clip underneath the windshield. It seemed like how they did it last time is they actually had them clipped into the silicone. Or in the urethane. I don't think that's the right way to do it. So I'm gonna probably trim around that a little bit with a knife and clean that up a little, and so those clips will actually seat the way they're supposed to. Because that could have been why the clips were pulling up before. Because if you look at it, they were actually pulled up when I bought the car. And so much so you could actually see underneath the clip, and it looked like you could see into the car. You actually couldn't because it was sealed, but just looking at it, it looked like you could see underneath it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started by putting in the top one first. That one, if you look, it's all clean and nice under there. The piece of rubber actually just slides right in, presses across. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with that. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to get that set in there, and seat it in the glass, and then you can just kind of just press it in for the most part. You can kind of feel when it gets seated. So you want to angle it, kind of curve it in under the glass like that, and then you press it. You're going to want to kind of use a screwdriver or something to kind of get under there. See how there's a little bit of a gap? You can kind of press in that. Might be nice to have a little flathead screwdriver, but you also don't want to scratch the glass or else it'll crack and go down. So what I did is I took just a flathead screwdriver and put tape on the end.
The right tool for the right job.
So I'll use that to slide underneath and actually seal this glass. So I don't know enough about what I'm doing to say the installer did a good or a bad job. There seems to be a lot of silicone on here that in my mind is unnecessary. But maybe just for the sake of time, maybe that's just the way it happens. I don't know. Alright, now if you look, got a decent seal all the way across. Everything's pressed in. Got the top done, so now we're gonna do the sides. So what I'm gonna do, I already started one. I'm gonna cut out the silicone, call it silicone, urethane, where they did this, where you just like cut out little chunks. And I'm going to, cut out the whole piece right there in between, just like I did in the one, so it can actually clip onto the windshield. So I'll go ahead and do that, and we'll try to press this thing in. Alright, so now that I cut those edges out, I think the trim will actually be able to clip underneath. So there's this little top part that'll sleeve into there, and then this part under here will sleeve into this. I think it's typically easier if that goes in first. And then you can even get that kind of lined up, get that lined up. There. Now, I would probably start at the top. Grab my screwdriver, wherever I put that. There it is. And then with little clips, you kind of press into place. So what I'm thinking now is that where all these little orange clips are bad. The clips aren't clipping into them like they should be. It seems like the other, like the wing clips are snapping in, but these ones aren't locking in the back end. So I'm gonna try it on the other side and see if that's the case all around. I might have to get all new orange clips as well. So I didn't film this because I honestly didn't think it would work, but it turns out the other side actually snapped right into place. I cut it out the same way, did all the same things, and if you look at it, it's in there pretty good. So it is the other side. I imagine it says clips. I'm gonna go see if I can find a set, see if we can figure it out. Get a part number and see if I can grab some. Otherwise, yeah, I'll try it again, we'll see what happens. But we're waiting on just that one side now. So just to give a heads up on what I did is I actually cut all these down, basically cut silicone out of all the top of the clips. I was wondering if it was actually pulling it away and actually not allowing them to seal. And then there was a couple spots that was like, that the urethane was actually going over the glass. Actually kind of like this one right here, I missed one. Right there, so I'm gonna cut that one down a little bit too. Still keep a seal, but I basically cut back a lot of the urethane to where it's not being a hindrance and actually making the trim sit over it. So I'm gonna try to press it in now and see if it makes a difference. After caressing the molding, getting it to work, getting everything cut away, the extra urethane, things like that, this is what we ended up with. Got it all in there. Looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, putting on a molding should be pretty easy. You always just have to watch out for the people that did it before you. Look for things that could have been causing the issue. That was really my issue with that, was there was a lot of extra urethane that was kind of pressing up the molding. So got that cut away, everything pressed in pretty easily.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
So one thing I don't think I ever actually talked about, some stuff I did off camera. I don't remember if you remember when I bought the car, the stereo was tore out of it. The speakers didn't work, things like that. I'm not sure how much of that I actually got into, but one speaker worked, one speaker was blown, and the rear speakers were missing completely. So what I did today was, what I've been doing is off camera, I installed the deck. I think I went over that a little bit. Yeah, there were some wires that were cut short, and the previous owner chopped up the harness a little bit, just on the power wire, I guess, actually. So we did that, got that all set up. Both speakers, we ended up replacing all 4 speakers, the fronts and the backs. The wires were shredded. The fronts were okay. They were kind of messed up the way they had them soldered, but not well. And then the rear ones, the wires that go back under there were actually down inside the panel. just capped off so they at least knew enough to cap them, but what they did is they just left them laying inside of there. On the driver's side, they actually cut them so short I had to pull the panel off to get to them, and had to make a little bit extra wire, and it was a little bit of a challenge, but we ended up getting it done, and this is the effect. This is so that'll make it really nice for me going to work. Next up now is I'll be driving this to and from work for the next little while, or well, hopefully for the foreseeable future. But I need to still get rid of this orange peel on it, so just as I have time, I'm gonna wet sand it, buff it, and kind of get that out the best I can. But I'm gonna begin driving it starting this week, so yeah, this thing's ready to roll. I'm pretty happy with it, pretty excited, and back to drift car stuff next week. See you next time.